Hey, this is Rob, aka Jesta ThaRogue, and this is Game Day First Play, where I play a game for the first time and let you know my thoughts on it after that first play. This time it's Dice Stars from Bruno Catala and Ludovic Montblanc, published by WizKids. It plays 1 to 4 players in about 20 minutes, or I'm told it's 20 minutes. I have no idea, I've never played this before. This is going to be my first ever game of it. So it's a roll and write game where you're rolling the dice and then you're writing on your little pad there. Everything that comes in the game is this pad, this dice bag, these 14 dice, and not my funky pencil. That belongs to me. The goal of the game is, of course, to score the most points, and you do that by rolling dice, choosing which dice you're going to select, and then you fill in your sheet, and the way you fill in your sheet, plus these little multipliers here, will determine your score for each row, and you get some penalty points maybe, and that will give you your total, and the player with the most points wins. On a player's turn, they declare out loud how many dice they're going to draw from the bag. You can choose between 1, 2 or 3 dice. Now there is an area called the reserve, which I'm going to put on the left of my pad once I start playing. If the reserve is empty, then you must draw 3 dice. Also, if the dice in the reserve only contain the star icon, which is this one here, then you also have to draw 3 dice. The dice that are drawn are then rolled and added into the reserve with the rest of the dice, if there are any. Then the player must choose to take either all of the dice of one colour, all of the dice of one number, or all of the dice with the star icon. And you must take all of them. Once you declare the colour, the number, or whether you're taking the stars, you've got to take all of the ones that are available in the reserve. And then they're marked off on the sheet, and how you mark them off depends which ones you took. If you're marking off by colour, depending on the colour, depends which column you fill in. So let's say I decided to take the purple dice from by colour. There's a 4, so I'd write a 4 in this box here because there's only 1 dice. If I decided to take the blue dice, there are 2 of them, the stars count as 0. So it would be 4, but over 2 dice. So I put an X in the first box and I put a total of 4 in the second box. Because I've taken 2 dice, so I need to fill 2 boxes. If I take by value, then say in this case I'd choose 4. I've taken 2 dice, so I'd put an X in the first box on the 4 row, and then I'd put 8, because that's the total of both dice, in the second. That is to show that the total is 8, but I took 2 dice. If you take the dice with stars, you can cross off any number of these multiplier boxes. You can cross off 1 box per star dice that you took. Any dice that you choose are then put in the discard pile, which I'm going to put on the right of my little sheet here. And then the next player takes their turn. If at any time the last dice is drawn from the bag or a player chooses the star symbols, the next player must put all the dice in the discard pile back in the bag. They may also choose to put all the dice from the reserve back in the bag too before taking their turn. Play continues around the table until one of the 2 endgame conditions have been hit. And those are if a player completes all the white boxes on their sheet, or a player hits this penalty space. And this penalty space is there if you can't take dice because you can't fill in the box. You then still have to take the dice as normal, but you add up the totals and that becomes your penalty score. Once everybody's taken an even number of turns, you go to scoring. You add up all the number in the row, one at a time, so all these numbers in this row marked with 2, and this will go into the intermediate scoring box here, and you do that for the other 4 lines. Then you add your multipliers. If the multiplier box is empty, like they all are at the moment, you will score the number in the intermediate box. So if this row was 8, and this had an 8 in it, because that's the total, and there's no stars here, you would get 8 points. If the row is full, you score double the points. So if there was an 8 here, and there was a cross in this box, and a cross in this box, you would double the 8 to 16. If there are some crosses in the multiplier box, but it isn't full, then that row is worth nothing. So if there was 8 in this box, there was only 1 cross in one of these 2 boxes, this row would be worth nothing. You add up all your totals, subtract any penalty if you've got one, that's your end score, and the player with the most points wins. So I'm going to be playing the solo game, and that uses this section of the box here. It's just an empty grid of boxes. At the end of my turn, if the reserve has only stars in it, I cross off 1 box. If there are no stars in it, then I cross off 1 box per 5 points of the total number of pips in the dice in the reserve. And if there are numbers and stars in there, you double the number of pips and cross off that many boxes. So in this case, there's 8, times 2 is 16, so I'd cross off 3 boxes. If the grid ever finishes before I finish crossing all these blank spaces off here, I will lose. If I happen to beat the bot scores 5 points per box completed, and we'll see if they beat my score, which I'm guessing they probably will, as this is my first game. So that's how you play the game. It's very simple. So let's get it started. Okay, I'm ready to go. So the reserve is empty, so we roll the dice. And I have not much of significance, although I don't actually know what's good. I don't know if you're watching this at home and thinking, oh, I've got a plan, I know exactly what I'd do. I have no idea what to do. I'm going to take blue dice. So I take these, put these in the discard. So there's 2 dice with a total of 8. So I cross off the first box and put 8 in the second box. Excuse the terrible handwriting. Now there is only stars available in the reserve, so which means I cross off 1 box for the bot, and that's 1 turn. For the second turn, I'm going to choose to get 3 dice. So I'm going to take 3 dice from the bag, give them a roll, add them into the reserve. Not sure what to take. I think what I'll do is I will take the stars, and then that crosses off. I'm going to cross these 2 boxes here, so I've got an 8 in this row, so I'm going to cross off these 2 boxes here, and hopefully I get 1 more. I should be able to get 1 more and cross that out. And because I've taken stars, I can put the discard pile back in the bag. I can also put the reserve back in the bag should I wish. I do not. But first the bot takes their turn. There's 9 points there, so that's another box because it's 1 box per 5 points. So that's that. Okay, I've taken 2 from the reserve and rolled them, and I've got not much option. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 2 3s. So now I've taken 2 3s, which means I'm going to be filling in the 3 row. I've taken 2 dice, the total is 6, so the first box is an X, the second is a 6. I've got 10 in the reserve pool, which is 2 X's on the board, 1 per 5 points. So I'm back in the game. I've progressed a bit more. I've got some 6s, some 8s, some 10s. I don't know if they're good. They seem to be good. I've crossed off 2 of these full lines, so I'm going to score double points for those. That seems good. Hopefully it is. I just realised I was playing this solo bit wrong. It's per 5 points. So if you've got up to 5 points, you cross 1 box. If you've got up to 10 points, you cross 2 boxes, etc. So you've got 6 to 10, then you're crossing off 2 boxes. So I've added a few more boxes on. I'm over halfway, and I'm over halfway here as well. So I'm feeling confident, but let's get back to the game. Okay, we're back. I've only got the 2 boxes left to get. This is my roll. Now, I've only got 2 boxes left here. If I take the star, the total is going to be 13, which means I die. I can't take the 4s because I haven't got enough space left. I can't take oranges at all. I can't take the purple because I haven't got any space left. I can take the 5, but that leaves me with 16, which again kills me. So that is the end of the game. I lost, but it didn't take long. Not long at all. I'm only seeing 21 minutes on the camera, and that includes a lot of setup and testing and stuff, and also explaining all the rules that I did at the beginning of the game. So that didn't take long at all. So let's go to the positives and the negatives. Alright, so I'm back with the positives, and just as I think about the positives, I did play another rule wrong. I said that if the reserve pool only contains dice with a star, you return the discard pile to the bag, which I didn't. I then may have been able to return the reserve pool back to my bag as well, and that might have helped, it might have hindered, I don't know. Yeah, but the positives, very good, it's very quick, it's very simple, and it is strategic. You can make the right choice, you can also make the wrong choice, so that shows that there are some strategy there, kind of filling up some rows and deciding whether to take the numbers, which is going to write across, or whether you're going to take the colours, which is going to come down the row. You know you're going to be filling up boxes, which is going to be lessening the number of options you have later, and you've got to try and keep them open. At the same time, you need to be thinking about taking those stars to try and fill up those multipliers and get those bonus points at the end of the game. And in the solo game, you you've got this ticking clock. You can see it. You're crossing off these boxes. You can see it's tick, tick, tick all the way across, and it's the pressure's always on. Especially, I mean, near the beginning, it didn't seem too bad, but then I realised I was playing it wrong, and that really upped the pressure because that meter is going to move once every turn unless you empty the pool, which was almost impossible. You can't really take everything unless they all happen to be the same colour or the same number, which obviously is not going to happen very often. It's very small, it's very portable, I always like that. The dice bag's quite nice. It's no Renegade Games dice bag. They do the best dice bags in the business, but this one's quite nice. It's branded. The dice themselves are nice and colourful. They're printed on. They seem pretty sturdy. They seem quite fair, although not very fair when I'm playing it. You've got plenty of these score sheets. I don't think you're ever going to run out of those, and they're double-sided. I've just noticed that, so that's good as well. Because this is a game that I would probably play solo. It is one that I would put on the table while the TV's on, preferably when I'm up at the computer. So I've got it on my desk in front of me, and I can just roll the dice while watching some TV, and that'll be good. As for the negatives, well, I mean, there's only a couple. The only one I can think of is you've got a dice bag, you've got 14 dice, and you've got a pad of paper, and that is a £19 game. That is quite expensive for what you get. I mean, the components are nice, as I mentioned earlier, but is it £19 nice? I don't think so. The box is bigger than it needs to be as well. Only just, I suppose the score pad's quite big, but I mean, it's all nice. It's just a little overpriced. The other negative is which do I play? I love Quicks. It's one of my favourite games. That's why I spent the extra few pound to get the deluxe edition. It's still cheaper than the base edition of Dice Stars. And with this, you've got the I mean, the dice art is nice, but you've got the erasable pads, you've got the markers, you've got the lid, which also acts as a padded dice tray. So I do really like Quicks, and for value for money, you're going to get more even with this, and it plays 4 players as well. There's no solo game, I believe, no true solo game anyway. It says 2 to 4 players on the back, so it's not one I can play on my own. I'm sure there's some variants out there, but I don't really like playing variants. I stick to the official rules. But then the only negatives, it's a bit expensive. It's not Quicks. So that's it for this game day first play. Remember to like the video if you found it useful, share it to help other people find the channel, and remember to subscribe for future board game content as well as more game day first plays. I've been Rob from jtrpodcast.com, and I will see you soon.